Hello everybody, Jenny Goddard here, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today for our CMA interviews where we showcase these most amazing members of the CMA. Today I'm joined by none other than CMA member Amanda Forster-Searle. Welcome Amanda, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, lovely to be here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I'm so glad that you're doing this because the thing is you've been with us for some time really, and we know that you're doing fantastic work. So can you tell us a little bit about, what it exactly is that you do?
Of course. So I'm an emotional freedom and wellness practitioner, and predominantly I focus on helping people with their mental resilience. So those that have perhaps struggled from stress and anxiety, and I'm pretty much focused, I'd say most of my work is to do with individuals, but also those in the workplace. And I try and help women, especially who are either going back to work after having children or perhaps at a different stage in their lives, sort of through menopause and things, so that people really get the tools to help themselves in everyday life.
That is so important. I think it's more important now than ever, isn't it? Because so many people are
Absolutely.
struggling. Yes.
Yeah.
That's wonderful work that you do. So what is your why? I know it sounds like a strange question, doesn't it? But why is it that you do the work that you do? How did you get involved in it? And what's
My why for me is really easy. So if we went back 9 years ago, I was working as a commercial and legal manager, and that had been my role for many years. I suffered a stress breakdown, and basically at that pivotal point in my recovery, I decided that I really wanted to train to help others avoid what I went through, but also to give them the tools to help them through coping mechanisms and everything if they should be in that position themselves. So I'm really driven, obviously, by that to help other people, given my own personal experience.
I think it's incredibly valid, isn't it? And I find that a lot of CMA members do get into the profession because they've had first-hand experience of something happening and then finding that the practices that we do, the interventions that we do and so on are so extraordinarily helpful. So that was your journey to finding it. But then how did you get into the actual work? How did you train, and how did you find out how to train?
So I've always been passionate myself with health and wellness in general. So when I kind of got to that point, I kind of thought, I need to do something, for myself, but to help others. So initially I trained in nutrition because I just love healthy eating and everything that goes with it. So that started my journey. But what I realized was with clients that I then had, when they came to me for nutrition, it's never just about the nutrition. There's always, something else going on there. So my experience myself then led me to kind of focus on more the mind side of things. So I studied mental health to do with the effects of stress on the mind and body. I've studied aromatherapy to help with tools to sort of influence the mind. And then most latterly, I kind of got into the emotional freedom technique, again, as another tool, because I believe that the more tools we have in our box, the more options we've got to help ourselves on all levels.
I totally understand. I'm the same. I have exactly, well, I won't say exactly the same path as you because different disciplines. But yeah, I too have found that, you bolt on another discipline, and so on, which sounds kind of easy for outsiders. And okay, so they just do something else. But these take years and years of study, don't they?
Absolutely.
Not an easy thing, It's
no, and it's that study. But even when you've finished the diploma or the course or whatever, for me personally, it's an ongoing study because, you have to keep up with knowledge that's happening, sort of finding out what's going on in the industry and everything. So it's never ending, but that's the enjoyment part of it.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And it's lovely, I think, also to have, if you've got clients that sort of get stuck, you've then got options, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. So tell me about how you actually work with your clients. What happens if I was to make an appointment to come to see you? What could I expect?
So initially, obviously, everything's been taken online recently. So I would always give someone a free initial consultation, just because I think it's important for them to feel comfortable with me, but also for me to just learn a little bit about what they're struggling with to make sure that I can really help them. So we'd start with that, which is probably normally about half an hour. And then we'd get into setting and agreeing sort of a number of sessions, because I do feel that people need to understand that it's not a wave a magic wand. You know, we'd love to, but there needs our commitment to them. We also need their commitment to us. So we'd agree whatever I feel, but make sure that they're comfortable with, you know, that arrangement. And those sessions basically would begin by looking at their whole life, any struggles, whether it's mental or physical. And then I can start to unpick the pieces as to where I think they stem from and where we perhaps make a starting point with.
That is really, really good. And I love the idea that you set very firm sort of boundaries around what you do. So, you know, so the person knows exactly what to expect from the get-go. And I think that's very, very important. And it's not this sort of endless, ongoing thing for many, many years. Like we see, for example, you know, we see in things like Freudian and Jungian analysis, which you can do for 20 years and still kind of be in the same place as you were when you started. You know, I love what you're doing, because clearly you're getting results. And you know, people know that they will, you know, they start here and they will have something happen by the end of the 4 sessions, 6 sessions, 8 sessions, whatever it is.
Exactly.
So you're setting it out, and I think that's really, really helpful for patients. I think it's great. So yeah, hats off to you for that. And so what are the so you mentioned that obviously you had, you know, you were working very much at it sounds like a very high level in corporate.
Yes.
So you said that you also you identified a need. So are those the particular people that you specialize with at the moment, or do you work with other people? How does it work for you?
Yeah, I think I started with clients, you know, whoever came to me that needed my help. But what I'm finding in the last sort of year or so is that my passion and obviously my sort of drive is to really focus on as much as possible those in the workplace. And I think with this recent year we've had, it's become even more paramount with the struggles and the different pressures that are on all of us. So I have started to sort of do a lot more work just purely by the need, I guess, in the sort of the workplace environment, whether that is individuals, but I am also on a platform, for instance, that puts an option for staff to have access to practitioners and therapists. So I think there's a big shift, which is good, but I don't think it's going to happen as quickly as we'd like. So those pressures are something close to my heart, obviously having been through there, but I also feel I can empathize more because I've been through it and I know exactly what it is like.
Yes, absolutely. No, I think it really does help. And I think that, you know, you're clearly speaking the same language as people in the business world, the corporate world, who are struggling. And the problem is there's still a stigma, isn't there, about, you know, you can't really, there's still this sort of machismo, you know, you shouldn't really sort of show weakness in these environments and so on, you know, as, you know, and again, it's not weakness to have challenges. But it's, you know, people are afraid that it's perceived as being weakness. Would you agree?
I would. And I think that's why, especially, I feel it's important that I think historically companies would have put this to the task of the HR department. But I don't think staff is exactly what you've said, are comfortable with opening up and feeling that they're then, you know, almost kind of got a tag on themselves because they've spoken out. So I think actually removing it from the workplace and having external people like myself going in, or where it's completely aside, you know, to the management team or HR team, I think is the key here, because then people can at least feel more comfortable that they're not showing themselves up in the workplace, and they can feel it's totally confidential.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes complete sense to me. It really does. And thank goodness you're doing this work, because otherwise people are floundering. They are really, really having. Yeah, and I think really, I think it's really important that we tell people how to get hold of you, because I think that you'll be, what you're saying is going to speak to a lot of people who actually need your help. So can you tell me what the best way is for people to actually be able to get in touch with you?
Yeah, of course. So my website is nourishhealing.co.uk. They can also find me on LinkedIn, obviously under Amanda Forster-Searle. And I do get a lot of inquiries from LinkedIn, obviously, because it's business focused. And then I'm on social media as well, on the normal channels at Nourish_Healing as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Also, for anybody watching this on YouTube, for example, we're going to be putting Amanda's contact details under the video. So you just hit the little down arrow at the side under the video. It'll drop down and you'll be able to get all of her details there. So Amanda, thank you so much for being with me today. It's just such a pleasure. It really is. And thank you for doing the amazing work that you do, because it's very, very needed, more so now than ever. So,
thank you so much for having me today. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Bye.